We should come up with like a Life Force Canada dance for our live events. Before they all start, have everyone standing up. Getting into the groove of empowerment and freedom and rising up.
Rise up, rise up.
Exactly.
I think we did that chorus going out to White Rock, didn't we? Or somewhere in White Rock.
Yes, and I had a different version than you did. Mine is the old parachute club version.
I didn't know what mine was.
Happy Monday, everyone. Yay.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Shirley. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen here just while everyone's joining us. Okay, so this is the youth center as on the main street, and I'm walking by and I see the schedule, and there's more on the window you can't see in this image. But then I noticed this demon, a demonic force there, big poster called Magic the Gathering. And I know this is, in my research now, it's a video game, but it's a game where a lot of kids are being drawn to this video / card game. And I do believe it's all, you know, where they're experiencing a multi-universe of demons. But yeah, it was amazing just to witness this huge poster that children are connecting to. Yeah. So we really need to create more pockets of heaven. Welcome to Life Force Canada. As you know, we are in the midst of the most tremendous shift in consciousness. We're going to be experiencing big changes, which are here to assist all of us in breaking old patterns so that we can really improve our quality of life. We're here to rise up. That is why we're all here, right? To rise up together. And the more you are resisting to change, the more suffering that we're going to experience. Did you know that the true definition of the word suffer? It is to consent. Isn't that crazy? So we consent to our own suffering. They use that word suffering and suffer in the court system. And so we want to make sure we begin to delete the word suffering from our vocabulary, because in the court system, if you admit to suffering in any way, you are found guilty. I know that you have a strong desire to break free from the systems, and this will happen as long as you are following your passion, as long as you're really connecting to your own light within. It's only up to you to release yourself from the generational patterns that have put restrictions on your infinite nature. So if you align with external government, you're going to experience everything that they bring forth, right? Sickness, limitation, separation. If you align with your internal government, you'll be healthy and prosperous. And that's what we're really stepping in. So repeat after me. I am the government of my life. Yes, you are. Tonight, we're going to be exploring how to really overcome fear of a dystopian future. I'm going to share a powerful video by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Of course, you've all heard of him before. He's so amazing. Then we're going to, of course, we're going to have a Q&A. And then I'm going to take you on a meditation. You're here to cultivate your inner wisdom, which is moment-to-moment awareness of what's arising internally and then externally. It begins with developing concentration, and a lot of people are really being challenged right now to concentrate on one single thing. And this is what this whole realm is about. They do not want you concentrating on your power. the multi-dimensional universe is really shifting into higher levels. And it's going to be a really raw and very sensitive time as we journey beyond the familiar. If you're experiencing overwhelm, stress, anxiety, it's because your brain is too full of that mental clutter. If you're watching movies or any TV, you're learning, all of that information is going into the subconscious mind. So we want to make sure that we're weeding out all the stuff that we don't really need anymore. So the best way to empty your mind and create more peace within is through the practice of a daily meditation, as you all know. Okay, before we get started, Laura Jane has an update. Laura Jane.
Thank you, Karen, and welcome everyone. So great to see you all here. We have some great news for our Academy. So I'm going to share screen and just take you through what we have. Whoops, get rid of that. Okay. Everybody can see that now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. We have added some new courses. We have in our Academy, the Founders PMA course is online. It's up and it's running, so you can join that anytime. We have the Sovereign Communities Leaders Weekend. That is the in the flesh work that we do with communities that want to offer that particular program. And just so you know, we do have an event coordinator guide that we share if you are interested in bringing Karen and I to a community near you. And yay, Together We Rise, Path to Self-Governance. Karen's course is online and you can get involved and move forward, especially after tonight. It may be something you really want to consider. So that's 3 programs that we have, 2 online and 1 by invitation. So it's really exciting to watch our Academy grow.
Thank you so much, Laura Jane. As I was editing the PMA course, uploading the course to the software, I started laughing, as Laura Jane is so adorable in her analogies of keeping everything in the private. There's that one section in reference to a code of conduct within your PMA. And she was stating, there are rules of the pool. If you want to swim in my pool, here's the code of conduct. Here's what I expect. No spitting in my pool, no peeing in my pool. I just started laughing. So great, Laura Jane.
Well, I keep it real.
So good. It's so good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. For those here, I would love for you to share in the chat where you're from. Just let others know. It's great to connect because we have people from all different provinces here, and there might be someone here online that really wants to connect with you. You might even be from the same town. Last week when I shared about the fires in Maui and how direct energy weapons are being used, it kind of created some fear in a few of our listeners. I get it. Right now, you have such an amazing opportunity to witness destruction at a distance. Because if this was happening in your own backyard, I mean, 10 feet away from you, how would you be handling it? This is what we need to be really diving in deep and asking ourselves. So right now, when you view anything that's happening in the field of energy that is on Earth, right? You're viewing it either from a place of fear below the line or a place of compassion above the line. So you're either disempowered and letting fear control your thoughts, which is through the lens of perception, or you're viewing from a higher perspective. You must see this reality is crumbling and that you are here not to be afraid of it. So fear is the lower realm, right? We're here to process and move through fear. So you're here to feel your fear and then figure out which fear is controlling you so that you can release it. Because if you're not doing that inner work, then the imagination is going to create that dystopian future. So it can be the fear of dying, the fear of loss, the fear of the dark, the fear of being manipulated, the fear of being alone, the fear of being betrayed, the fear of what you're seeing happening could happen to you or to your family, fear of persecution, right? There's a lot. I have a fear list and you're here to figure out what root is at the core of your fears. And then what that fear is attempting to teach you. Because if you're allowing the fear to take over your life, then you're going to suffer, right? You're giving consent to living in powerlessness. And that is definitely not who you are. So when you're below the line, you're again consenting to a reality that you do not want. So what you are witnessing right now is the physical effects of our earth splitting into multiple parallel realities. So if you're witnessing something over there, it does not mean it's going to happen to you. Let me say that again, right? So just say this to yourself. Just because I'm witnessing something over there, or just because I'm witnessing something on my phone, on Instagram, or any social media that is bringing up fear, it doesn't mean it's going to happen to me. So even if you see a reality that you do not prefer, it doesn't mean that you're living in it. It means other souls are here to experience it, not you. Everyone is vibrating energetically in alignment with what they believe in. And this creates an energy wall, right? They're filters. So it doesn't mean what you see can reach you. Does that make sense? Right? Again, we're all witnessing the split in perception. You've seen the split since 2020, family and friends, last few years. You've heard us talking here about the parallel society. We're creating a parallel society that is based in natural law, which is in alignment with the harmonic energy of Earth. So when you're resonating in that energy field of Mother Earth, right, you're going to be kept safe from disaster. And the more you begin to trust in this new foundation, the more your soul force, your life force energy will begin to draw in, and you're going to create what I call pockets of heaven. So you're creating a pocket heaven, I'm creating pockets of heaven, we're all creating pockets of heaven, and then we join them all together, right? It's a high frequency. And just to give you an example, when I was on my trip, I met people who I had never met before. They had never really heard of me before. They'd never heard of Life Force Canada, yet they invited me into their homes to stay. They invited me into their homes for dinner, for breakfast, lunch. This is the reality that we're co-creating together. This never happened to me prior to 2020. This never happened in my entire life, and I've been doing great work for years. However, we're in a new vibrational setting as freedom lovers, okay? So this is trusting that everyone has your back. And this is really important for you to have your own back as well. I can't remember where I saw this. I think it was a woman was talking about how this simple exercise, if you're in anxiety and you're feeling stress, that the imagination, of course, as we know, is just thinking about a dystopian future. So we want to bring ourselves always back into the present. And what she shared was that if you close your eyes and you visualize the back of your head, try this with me right now. Just visualize the back of your head. So it's like you're behind yourself. You're about 2 feet or 3 feet behind who you are. So you can see the back of your head in your mind. You can see your spine. You can see your butt. Just allow yourself to see the back of you. Do you notice how your energy is becoming calmer as you're seeing the back side of you? It really works, doesn't it? It's amazing. And that is where you know that you now have your own back, right? It's so simple. Allowing yourself to see behind, using your imagination for you rather than against you. Let me know in the chat if you felt a shift in your body. Having your own back, yes. Somatic trauma therapy training, it's one of their techniques. This is the power that we all have. Okay, so now I want to share with you Dr. Bruce Lipton's a video that he has created, because I was so excited when I first heard him speak many, many years ago, when he shared that there was no way that your family can pass down a disease to you. So I want to share a portion of his video today, just to remind you that we are made of energy, that your cells are batteries, and this matrix feeds off of your energy when you're below the line. So we need to learn how to harness and really redirect our energy so that we can use it in our own lives for good.
And I'm going to extend this now to the biology. And I want to show you the website for free articles and references about what I'm talking about. So you can go there. And I have 2 announcements before I talk. Okay. Number 1, the science I'm going to present can change your life very profoundly. When I first started lecturing, I told people, with this science, you can create the most wonderful life on this planet. And then the people in the audience would look at me and go, your life does not look that good. And I said something like, do as I say, not as I do. But the secret I found out is 2. First part is to know, to have the knowledge. But the second part is the most important. And that part is you must actually use the science in your life or it doesn't work. And the truth, as I see it from my own life, is that if there is a heaven, I think it's here right now. And that's from using my own knowledge in my life. And that's the big point. Okay, and number 2 is the medical profession does miracles. However, there are great problems in the medical profession. Medicine does miracles with trauma, like if you break something or you got to cut something out or put something back in, they do miracles. However, if there are illnesses like cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, these kinds of illnesses, medicine does not do a very good job. And the reason it is not the practitioner, it is the education that we provide the medical doctor. I was a professor in medicine. I taught medicine for 20 years, and we do not provide a proper and complete education. And the main reason, the pharmaceutical industry does not want us to teach how you can heal yourself. So if I say something bad about medicine, it's not the medical doctor. Okay. I am a cellular biologist, and I want to tell you about a misperception you may have. When you look in a mirror and see yourself and you see like one person looking back, that is not true. You are made out of 50 trillion cells, and the cells are the living entities. So you are a community, not a single person. But your mind is the government for the 50 trillion cells. And if you have a good government, you have health. If you have like the United States government, then you're sick. So the part that is the powerful part is in the mind. The cells, I will talk about cells for this reason, because every function that you see in the human body is already present in every cell. Every cell has a respiratory, a digestive, an excretory system, a nervous system, and even an immune system in every single cell. So it's easier to understand how one cell works than to try to understand how 50 trillion cells work. There are two in philosophy. There are two beliefs about how life works, and they're very different opposing beliefs. These beliefs come from the time of the ancient Greeks before Christ. And the first belief is from a man called Democritus. He is the man that gave us the word atom. And this is what he said about how life works. That what you see physically is all there is. There's nothing in the empty space. If you want to understand life, then you have to understand atoms. And that means uncuttable. The smallest thing is an atom. And there's atoms, and then there's empty space. So atoms are in space. And then motion is when atoms hit each other and bounce like a billiard ball. So life is atoms colliding with each other. A completely different point of view is provided by Socrates. He has a dualistic vision. One is there's an invisible energy which he calls a form or a soul that gives shape to matter. That this energy was here before life and will be here forever. The energy is separate from matter. That the energy is perfect and ideal, and it is unchanging. Then he talks about the material world, the physical world, and he says that the physical world is imperfect or a corrupt shadow of the ideal. So for example, you can imagine the concept of a perfect circle, but you can't, with a pencil, you can't make a perfect circle. So that the invisible world is perfect and the physical world is not. And this is the foundation of like the church that says that this world is not where we want to be. We want to be in the perfect world. So there are two beliefs of how cells are controlled. One is the control comes from the outside in, and the other is that the control is from the inside and goes out. The belief from the outside control is from Socrates, that a form or a soul comes in and gives life. And the followers of Socrates are spiritualists. In contrast, the followers of Democritus talk about atoms and mechanism. And in today's world, religion is the follower of Socrates, and science follows Democritus. Okay. The belief in Democritus is based on the work of Isaac Newton. Newton was studying what they believed the space and the stars were like a giant machine, a celestial mechanism. Then he created a mathematics called calculus and put in the data, for example, of the moon going around the earth, and included mass, gravity, and acceleration. And with his equations, he could predict the accurate movement of the solar system. But he did not put God in the equation. He did not put spirit into the equation, or a soul, no energy. So he predicted the universe based only on studying matter. And in conclusion, he said the universe is a machine. And if it is a machine, then the concept of Democritus was right. And that Democritus was based on materialism. So science, including medicine, does not include invisible forces, energy, spirit in their understanding. And the concept of Rene Descartes, he talks about a body, and then he said, cogito ergo sum, and he came up with the mind. But after Newton, then we separate the mind from the body, and this is a vital force. And in Newtonian physics, which is based on matter only, you eliminate the vital force in the mind. And then medicine only has the body left to study, the physical body. So in the universe, if the universe is a machine, then you can take it apart and study it, and then you will know how the universe works by looking at the pieces. So they look at the human body, and the human body is a machine. So in medicine, they take apart the body, look at the molecules, and then try to determine your health by just looking at the physical molecule. So the mission of modern science is to obtain knowledge that can be used to dominate and control nature, which is a machine. So the important understanding is, where is the control in the human machine? And from Charles Darwin, he said that the control is passed from parent to child because the traits of the parents are expressed in the child. And since they were only looking for physical things, chemicals, they took apart the sperm and the eggs to find which chemicals control life. And 100 years after Charles Darwin, James Watson and Francis Crick told us a story of DNA. The DNA is a double helix, and the pattern for the human body's materials are in just one single helix. So each strand has the pattern. The pattern is in what they call bases, and the bases, the letters of the bases are A, T, C, and G, the genetic code. And the sequence of the bases determine the structure of protein. And there are over 150,000 different proteins to make a human body. The proteins provide for the physical structure, and the proteins also provide for your functions. Based on his belief, Francis Crick created what is called the central dogma. It is like the 10 commandments of biology. It says that you are proteins, you're the protein, but where do you come from? And the information flows in one direction, from DNA to RNA to protein, which is you. So your fate and your structure is programmed in the DNA. The concept of the central dogma is what I taught in the medical school. And I did not know the meaning of the word dogma until I left the university. And the definition of dogma is a belief based on religious persuasion and not scientific fact. So for 20 years, I was teaching religion in medical school. The other name for central dogma is the primacy of DNA. And primacy means first cause. So anything about your life, the first cause is DNA. DNA controls life. The genes are DNA. So in this image, were you born that way? It reveals our belief that all of your traits, physical, behavioral, emotional, are all programmed in the DNA. When we were teaching this in the school, we call it genetic determinism. Genes control and determine the character of your life. But you didn't pick the genes you came with. You can't change the genes you came with. So you become a victim of your heredity. If cancer is running in your family or heart disease is running in your family, you believe that you will be a victim of the same disease. So science teaches you that the genes are the controlling device, and that makes you powerless. And when people believe they're powerless, they become irresponsible. But the question is, what kind of belief do we teach in the end? So what we were teaching in medical school is conventional belief that the medical model is that you are a biochemical machine controlled by genes. And the significance of that is, this is based on logic. If a healing profession works in agreement with nature and science, then that healing profession should be a benefit to the patients. But if a healing profession does not understand science and nature, then it may be a detriment to the patient. The leading causes of death in the United States are as follows. Number 3, cancer, with 553,000 people die every year. Number 2 is cardiovascular disease, with 700,000 people die every year. And the leading cause of death is called iatrogenic illness. And what that means is illness due to medical treatment. 784,000 people die every year from medical treatment, not from the disease, but from the treatment of the disease. Over 300,000 people die from prescription drugs. So the belief in the medical model is false. There are 4 assumptions that Greg talked about, but I will talk about 3 of these assumptions and how they relate to the cells and the biology. Assumption number 1 is that the body is a physical machine made out of parts, chemicals, and molecules and atoms, and that's all you need to know. And this is the foundation of Newtonian physics, only studying the material. Assumption number 2, genes control biological expression. And assumption number 3 is that Darwinian evolution provides for the biological world that we have. I will now talk about each one of these in a row and how they relate to biology. The first assumption about Newtonian physics. Okay. Science is like a building with many floors, and the lower floors are the foundation for the floors above. The first floor in science is mathematics. Before Newton could understand the planets and how they move, he had to create differential calculus. From mathematics, then we go to physics. So Newton took us from math to physics. The study of matter leads to the study of chemistry. There are different kinds of chemistry till you get to biological chemistry, biochemistry, which then leads to biology. And then from biology, we go to psychology. There's a law involved here. If a science on a lower floor changes its belief, all the other sciences above must accommodate that. So in physics, the one that we are using in medicine is Newtonian physics. And so we want to understand how the cells work. We must understand mechanisms. And mechanics equals physics. So you can say Newtonian physics, Newtonian mechanics, or quantum physics and quantum mechanics, same thing. So before you can understand how biology works, you must understand mechanisms. That the physics that we talked about, Newtonian physics, said that the universe is a machine made out of matter. But in 1925, quantum physics said, no, the universe is made out of energy. So when we talk about energy, energy are like, energy is like waves in the water. That is, in fact, actually energy moving through water. So this is the actual shape of energy waves going through space. The question is, when 2 waves are coming toward each other, what happens when they meet? And the answer is they become entangled with each other. So in this room right now, there are radio, television waves, cell phone waves, all kinds of energy in the room entangled. But matter, I can separate and study each piece, but energy waves, I cannot separate. So conventional science is reductionistic. It takes things apart and studies pieces. But the new physics says, no, you have to study wholeness because you cannot separate the energy. So when a doctor looks at a sick patient in his office, he looks at his physical body and tries to understand what's going on. But what we all know about wholeness is that what affects the patients is his job, the family, the environment, the community, so that to study illness, you can't see it just in the physical body. So this is how energy waves interact. I drop two rocks from the same size rocks from the same height at the same time, and they hit the water. And the waves the ripples are in phase and they come toward each other. The question is, what happens when the waves meet? So I will pretend by putting one wave over the top of the other wave. This wave goes this way, this wave goes this way, this is overlap. And to find out what you do, you add up the waves. 1 + 1 = 2. So the two waves interfere with each other. And the result when they're in phase is the wave is more powerful, okay? It is called constructive interference. Okay, there is an opposite effect. This time I drop the two rocks from the same height, but I drop one before the other. And the ripples come toward each other, but they're out of phase. One wave is going up, one wave is going down. So watch what happens when they meet. Add them up, -1 + 1 + 1 - 1. So two waves can interfere and cancel each other out. This is called destructive interference. You have all experienced this in your life. Constructive interference is called good vibes, and destructive interference, bad vibes. So let's say it's a Saturday night and you have to go to a party and you're tired, and you go to the party and you meet some people who are in wave harmony. The waves are in harmony with you, and your energy and their energy in phase gives you more power. And then you are walking around on your feet, on your toes, very high, constructive interference. Bad vibes. You are in a scary place and you feel the energy go. What is going on is there's energy in the field that conflicts with you and it cancels your energy. Bad vibes. All animals and all plants communicate with vibration. The gazelle doesn't have to go up to the lion and say, "Are you my friend?" Because at the distance, the energy could be felt and the gazelle will not go there because of bad vibes. When we were young, we're taught to be sensitive to the vibrations, we would not find ourselves in bad relationships and bad places. But we are usually told not to go by our feelings, but to listen to what people have to say. One night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was watching an old movie on TV. It's a British movie, so it was very dry. And I was going to go shut it off. And the one line came out that was worth staying up all night for. Language was designed to hide feelings. So the point is, all organisms communicate by vibrations and know if they're in a good place or a bad place by reading the vibrations. But we humans have that ability, but are not trained to use that ability.
I'm just going to skip forward.
In my research, 40 years ago, I started working with stem cells. People think that stem cells are something new. But I learned very many things from the stem cells. The secret of life I learned from stem cells. Right now, in every one of you, you have stem cells throughout your entire body. And these stem cells can replace any tissue or organ in your body. And you should be able to stay young for hundreds of years, as Greg will talk about. So you might ask, then why do we age? And the answer is because the mind controls the cells and the genes.
What I highly recommend you continue watching the rest of the video. How many of you received the CD set when it came out, or the DVD set way back in the day? We are completely wrong that genes control life. I'm just going to summarize a little bit about what he shared. That you should be able to stay young for hundreds of years, right? Yes. We collectively believe in aging because that's what the systems have created. The mind controls the cells and the genes. So let's let go of the collective idea of aging right now. So you are all now invited to my 150th birthday. We really need to release ourselves from being energetically entangled in this reality. And I love how he shares about good vibes, bad vibes. You all know about that, right? Constructive interference. So if we look at deconstructive interference, that is what this reality is attempting to create. So when we're below the line, that is what you're feeling, is the collective deconstructive interference, those bad vibes. And that is the energy in the field that really kind of conflicts with you, and it cancels out your energy. So it's a destructive interference within your psyche. So again, it's really important for you to remind yourself what stores you're walking into. What vibration are you feeling as you walk into that store? Is it a low frequency or a high frequency? When you're walking into a bar or restaurant, a pub, because maybe back in the day, this is what you did, but as you're evolving right now, you're not going to want to be in those locations that are energetically at a low frequency. It's going to be really important for you to just be mindful of that. Okay, we're going to go into a Q&A. Open forum. Please raise your hand if you have any comments or anything that you would like to share. Excellent, Laura Jane. Yes, that somatic trauma release exercise is very, very powerful if we can remember it in the moment. Yes, Mark, the fearless. Thank you. Love it. Hi, Brian.
Hello. Just a comment you had made earlier as you were traveling around and people were inviting you to, were you staying in their homes?
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up, Brian, because when I went to Kelowna, I spoke to a group of freedom leaders there to talk about the Sovereign Community Leaders course. I met Ted Kuntz, the president of Vaccine Choice Canada, and I was talking to Erica, and so she asked me, you know, where I was staying. I hadn't arrived in Kelowna yet, and I said I usually spend about 2 days in Kelowna. And she says, okay, we're going to take care of your accommodations. And so when I arrived, she drove me to this beautiful home. I met this woman, Teresa, and her husband, Grant, and they had a beautiful home on a lake. And I got to stay there for 2 nights, and they had never met me before. They had never heard of Life Force Canada. The next day, they took me boating, and I went swimming in the lake. I went paddleboarding. In the freedom movement, we're all soul sisters and soul brothers. It's like we've known each other for years.
There's a lot of good people out there in the world, and that sometimes the way things are right now, we get a little bit disgruntled with our fellow man. Like I had my truck stalled, I remember, and I was stuck in the road not in an intersection, but in a turning lane. And there were so many people stopping by. Hey, can I help you? Do you need a push? Do you need a battery? Do you need a charge? And I was just saying, I got a tow truck coming and I'm going to be fine. And finally, before this was all over, it probably took an hour and a half. A young couple, They drove by and we seen you sitting here, and they brought me a coffee. And it was just the sweetest thing because there were so many good vibrations. And
Yeah.
it was just like, I think like yourself, you draw that energy. And I was really, really impressed because you're in a little bit of a bad mood when your truck is having problems and it brings you down. But there were so many pleasant people. Even my tow truck driver was very nice. And it was just, as far as traffic problems go, it was a great experience. And I just want to let everybody know that there is good people out there. We know there's a lot of corruption out there as well, but I think the average person is very good natured, and there's a lot of good people out there. With that, I yield.
Thank you for sharing that story, Brian. Yes, absolutely. And we need to trust in that, trust that we're going to be attracting really good people that are connected to their heart. And Brian, that's what you have. You have a big heart. So you're going to be connected to people who are on that same frequency. I just wanted to share from the video, never blame the doctor. Never blame the doctor. Because of course we know it's the medical system that provided the education to medical doctors. I love how he shared, you are a community, not a single person. See, we can apply that in natural law because we're not a person. We're connecting to communities. Isn't it amazing how we're connecting to that divine nature of who we are? I love it. And the physical world is a corrupt shadow. The physical world is a corrupt shadow, and the invisible world is perfect. So you are made of invisible dimensions, right? The mind, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. So those three invisible realms make up the totality of you, the physical being of you. So in what Dr. Bruce Lipton is saying, right? The physical world is a corrupt shadow. The invisible world is perfect. That means you are divinely perfect. We're going to let go of that imperfect word. I hear that so often, how we're all imperfect. No, we are not imperfect. We are divinely perfect. Laura Jane, go ahead.
Thank you, Karen. As we move forward and we keep our vibration high, we will be attracting that in. And that's what I see in the new earth, is that is what we are creating actively. And the more that we collectively come together in that high vibration, the more that collective consciousness will create that new earth, which is of a divine nature. That for me is why I see from a high level, and I try to keep my perspective high, not to ignore what's going on, but not to be part of it, but to see it and to keep myself from sinking back into it. Because there are times when you hear stuff that you just sort of go, you want to go down below the line, and you're looking at all the fires, and you look at the dew, and you look at all the stuff that's out there. But then you have to remember, that is, I love the way Bruce Lipton put it, that is the material world. That is where they want to keep us, but that is not who we are. We are so much more. Where that vibration. So the quicker that we actually learn to bring our vibration and stay in that high vibration and attract that to us, that is how we are going to evolve the new earth, so that we won't even see those guys anymore, and they won't see us, because their vibration is just not in sync with ours. Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yay.
Yeah.
Love your thinking there, Laura Jane. Absolutely. Beautiful.
I like Yaz's comment.
Yes, yes. So true, Yaz. This is the discipline, right? The devotion to our mind, the devotion to our spirit, when we are allowing for the letting go. It's the letting go of a lot of the foods that we've been eating. The toxicity, and then of course the belief system we have wrapped around all that, so that we can shift and really truly step into being the 900-year young self that we are. Greg Braden talks about the 900-year self that we all have the capacity to step into. I know in the Masters of the Far East, they talk about this. And Berard Spalding, he met people that were 230 years old, 300 years old. And I do believe that Greg Braden has met someone, I think it was 190 years old. So yeah, we're probably not going to really experience them too much in the Western world, but over in other parts of the world, yes. So we need to really bring this into our consciousness that this is a possibility for us, even in this time, that we can shift who we are, that we can begin to see and to you know, our eyes can shift, etc. How many of you have heard of Dr. Robert Morse? He is able to regenerate missing limbs on his patients with fruit. He says fruit is really highly electrical and it sends that voltage to the body when the body can't do it itself. So he says that cancer begins at plus 30 millivolts in the body, which means the voltage in the body's been blocked, usually from repressed emotions such as anger and fear, and disgust is really a heavy emotion as well. And that really blocks the circuitry in our muscles and our organs, which function like batteries. So if your body is healthy, then your body should be really able to restabilize the electricity, because we are electric beings, and it will send that negative 50 millivolts to those areas of the body. Oh, Shirley, you've done his program. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you just send in a picture of your eyes, and he sends you a protocol with the herbs and diet to follow for 6 or 8 weeks. It's very good.
Amazing. Thank you, Shirley. I just discovered him this year, so I am so excited to learn more, because I truly believe in the power that we have. This is the frequency that we're stepping into as we begin to let go of the entanglement, as Bruce talks about. We let go of the entanglement of this 3D reality and truly step into 5D. We have so much power. And a lot of this, what I'm sharing too, is what I teach in the Together We Rise program. Oh, good. Thank you, Olga. Olga put in the chat, Dr. Morse's Herbal Health Club Natural Herbal Supplements. Thank you. Yeah, there's so many brilliant minds. And as we connect to our own true purpose and we connect to our own passion in life, right, we begin to shift our frequency. Laura Jane, go ahead.
It's when you were talking about Greg Braden, I loved his comment. He said, I plan to be 200, because he said we're birthing and we're evolving this new earth, and the wisdom needs to be carried through. And he said, I'm not going to leave the project halfway through. I want to be here to see what we produce in terms of the new earth. So I thought, yay, all right, so 200 it is.
Yay, Laura Jane, thank you for that. Yes, I was privileged to see Greg here in Calgary many years ago, and when I wrote my book, I shared with him that he inspired the name of my book. And so, yes, he is such a brilliant man. And yes, I so agree with you. Bring on the 1000th birthday party. Better start planning now, considering how many people are going to attend. Yes, definitely. I love it. Thinking big again, right? We've heard this a few times on our call, is that the leading cause of death is medical treatment. So it's the medical treatment that caused the death and not the disease. Yeah, it's very, very important to begin to step into a whole new way of life. Hello, Claire and Carol.
Hi there. What you've been saying is as far as how we can look after ourselves. I mean, as you know, we've been doing homeopathy for, for years, looking after ourselves as much as we could on the spiritual level, how we think and how we feel, watching the toxins, using homeopathy in a detoxification way to help us for the things that we don't have any control over. And I just had my physical for my driver's license, because that happens when you get to a certain age. You have to have that done at 75, and blood pressure was 104/68, pulse was 68, my vision was 20/15. Again, no medications. I can't remember the last time I took a prescription drug. We've just been doing it all through everything that we're doing. So it just goes to show that it does work, especially how you think and feel, because then you're creating that pattern, as we said, that is going to allow your physical body to respond to the above the line frequencies. The physical body has no choice but to respond to, our outer has no choice but to respond to that perfection. And like you were saying, we are perfect within. It's just that through our thinking, we tend to requalify that to something that does not fit with that perfection that's there. So with that, I yield.
Thank you, Claire. I just actually put your email in the chat. If anyone's interested in homeopathic remedies, I highly recommend Dr. Claire and Carol. Incredible. If I'm ever going to take anything in my life, that was it. It was homeopathic remedies. And so I was on a protocol with them last year, and it really helped in so many ways. I had so much energy in my brain and my nervous system. And so it just really assisted me in shifting that. So blessings to both of you. Oh, I just wanted to say that my amazing friend Doris, who has started Lawyers for Truth, is moving away. She's moving to Medicine Hat. So if you know of any freedom lovers in the Medicine Hat area, please let her know. So I guess I'll be going to Medicine Hat quite often. Okay, I have a really powerful guided meditation for you this evening to make sure that your frequency is high. If you're not able to stay, I completely understand. We are moving into a higher timeline. Creating the reality that we want is determined by your willingness, right, to explore its opposite. And a lot of people don't have the capacity to do that. And as you know, for example, setting boundaries, when you set boundaries in your relationships, it's going to make you feel like you're alone. Well, you are creating new relationships. When you are digging into your trauma, you're going to feel like you're broken, and your ego is going to try to stop you from doing that. Well, actually, what it's doing is healing you. And when you're working out at the gym, sometimes you're going to feel really weak, and you're wondering why you're doing this, because it just makes you feel weak, but it actually is making you stronger. And when you're learning something new, you can actually feel stupid because what's happening is it's shifting the energetic frequency in the brain, in the mind, in the invisible realms. And you're tapping into your intelligence. You're tapping into a higher level of intelligence that hasn't been in your frequency before. And so your ability to obtain the thing you want is directly correlated to how you're willing to experience its opposite. And that's how we're going to really be able to shift into a new timeline, into a higher frequency, that you're tapping into your inner authority. And that's what I'm going to take you on right now in a guided meditation. Okay, so for those who are staying for the meditation, I just want you to sit back and close your eyes. Focusing on your breath. We are focusing on concentration. A lot of us have become distracted. We believe in all of those alphabets that they are creating as diseases. Attention deficit disorder, etc. All creations of the mind. None of it's true. Breathing in to the count of 5 and breathing out to the count of 5. I want you to use your imagination for you instead of against you. So visualize right now a set of stairs ascending before you. You're at the bottom of the staircase and you're looking up. And when you begin to walk up these steps, you'll be so very deeply relaxed that the words I say to you will go deeply into your mind, allowing you to have extreme focus whenever you need to. So just begin walking up the stairs into extreme focusing abilities. 1, 2, 3, 4, closer to focus. 5, stepping up. 6, and just saying to yourself as you're stepping up these stairs, hearing these words deeply with passion, knowing that they are true for you as you repeat each statement to yourself. I have a wonderful ability to focus. 6, focusing comes naturally to me. 7, 8, 9, 10. You're at the top of the stairs now, just feeling that extreme focusing ability that's within you. Saying to yourself, my attention is like a laser and nothing distracts me. Every day I'm strengthening my power of concentration. Feeling yourself relaxed. When your body's relaxed, you are focused. I can focus on expanding my positive experiences. I quickly bounce back from distractions. Keep focusing on your breath, breathing in these words. Concentration is one of my greatest abilities. I am committed to being focused on my goals. My goal is to live above the line. I'm transforming my negative beliefs to empowering beliefs every day. I focus effortlessly. Focusing on your breath. Remembering that your breath always keeps you in the present moment where your true power is. I am embracing new challenges with curiosity. I am pursuing more meaningful activities in my life. I soak up everything I learn because my mind is like a sponge. I am cultivating resilience. Focus comes naturally to me. Every day I'm focusing on creating pockets of heaven throughout my day. And just allowing yourself to sit in the silence. The silence here is your truest friend. Silence allows you to explore the invisible realms of divine perfection. Focusing on your breath. On the count of 3, you can open your eyes. So 1, bring yourself back to the room. 2, bring yourself back to into your body. And 3. Whatever we choose to think, we bring about, remembering to become aware of the spaces and the places and the people that you surround yourself with. To tune in to the frequency, to tune in to the good vibe or the bad vibe. Thank you, Carol. Carol just wrote in the chat, together the We Rise course is the best ever. Everyone should take it. Thank you, Carol.